Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I would like to talk about insecure attachments, and one of them, the anxious attachment style. I specifically want to just talk about the signs and symptoms of anxious attachment style. So one of the things that we notice with individuals or a person that suffers from anxious attachment style tend to have a very severe fear of rejection. They also have fear of criticism. They also suffer from emotional dysregulation. And what do I mean by emotional dysregulation would be that when there's a setback, whether minor or major, they start to collect data about the situation or about the person, and they just keep repeating these thoughts or coming up with all kinds of negative narratives about the situation or the person. And then when the person comes in front of them, they just, pour it all out. And sometimes their perceptions may not be quite accurate. They may be distorted, or they have spent too much time creating a big story for themselves about a situation, and that may not quite be right. So anyways, I recommend highly to people that suffer from emotional dysregulation is to just take a breath and sit and be calm, and not try to create a lot of negative narratives. Instead, just wait for the person or the situation to come back up so you can actually talk about it in a calm manner. And there may be nothing to it. Or you can just take and say to yourself, I'm not going to talk about this thing, or I'm not going to think about this thing right now because I've got so many other things to do, and I'll come back to that. And by then, you may not even need to deal with that anymore. The other part that we see with anxious attachment style is very impulsive and very aggressive. And it's very interesting that the anxious attachment style person is going to be very dramatic because they have a fear of abandonment, but they also punish. So there's this push and a pull that don't leave me. But if you leave me, take me with you, or I'm going to punish you. All right, so that's one of them. They also don't have very close friends. Anxious attachment style individuals do not have close friendships because they're so anxious, and they become very clingy and very dependent on their relationships, on their friends, on their spouses, or someone that they're in a relationship with. They become extremely clingy because they have this fear of being rejected or abandoned. And this actually starts in very early childhood. And if you want to know a little bit more about that, please refer back to my video on attachment styles. And I describe a little bit more about when it manifests itself. And it's very early in childhood. And so the same thing we see even when people as adults are very over anxious, and a lot of OCD as well, because they just don't want to fail. And they don't want to be criticized. They don't want anyone to have any room to have any negative reaction to them. And so they will do whatever they need to do to make it perfect at their own expense. And that actually turns people off sometimes. And what they really want is for people to be in their life. Instead, people end up leaving. And that's so hard for someone that suffers from anxious attachment style. So if you found this video to be helpful, and if you feel like you're suffering from anxious attachment style, I would recommend finding you a very good therapist and working through this. If you liked my video, please leave a comment for me, and I will appreciate that. Thank you so much, and I'm wishing you the best.